Hi there, welcome to another edition of Freeworld Heads Up on Monday the 4th of July. Happy Independence Day to our American viewers.
Right.
And continuing kind of currency problems in the back of Brexit, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah, that's right. Well, we're in a sort of total unknown situation. Current rates are 132.60, eye-wateringly low for the GBP USD. 1.1103 euro USD, with the euro maybe looking, all the curves are pointing downwards, and 1.1945 GBP euro. So you can see that we really are in complete limbo as a country. We don't know who our political parties are going to be led by, neither on the Conservative or the Labour side. We don't know what our country looks like, because the Scottish re-referendum is looking increasingly likely. There was a little bit of support over the weekend to Nicola's efforts to get a sort of like, we can be in the EC and leave the UK. So we have a United Kingdom which is not united, and we have perhaps a Great Britain which is more of a Little Britain. But whilst we're here, we in this sort of huge uncertainty as to what things are actually going to cost because of the currency implications, we can offer a way of buying in dollars even if you don't have a dollar account to pay with, and that's you can raise a contract in dollars. For instance, you could buy a contract for a couple of tons of cashews W320 at $4.35 US a pound, and at any time before the actual invoice is produced to deliver your product, you can call us up and tell us whether you'd like to fix the rate. So, for example, if you'd done this, you'd placed a $4.35 W320 contract, and say the currency actually fell, it went against you. I'm not saying which way the currency is going to go. It looks low, but I don't know where we're going. But say it'd gone down to 129.50, and there are some forecasts which suggest that. We would work that out. You would phone me up, or we would phone you up if you hadn't called us before invoice date, and say, well, today it's 129.50, and we're going to have to invoice that 435 equals £7,405 a ton, and we'd raise the invoice. If for instance it went up to $1.40 equals a pound in between, you could phone us up, speak to the trader that you deal with normally, or call myself directly, and I would look on my currency trading screen and say, right, this is what I can get for you right now, basis your terms of payment, etc. There might be a slight premium. And if it was, say, 140, I could fix it at 140. I would agree that 140, as I say, any time between purchase and an invoice. And in that case, your ton of cashews would cost you £6,848. So that's a way maybe of taking out at least the availability risk for your purchases. There's, traders, we're not just going to keep on buying the same quantities of stuff even if we have no forward orders, because we have to react to this uncertainty too. Of course, we'll try and stay in stock, but we don't know what's going to happen, right? So,
and you too can be a currency speculator.
You too can, you too can be a currency speculator. But maybe in this case you have to, right? It's like a bit like getting a taxi you don't know how much it's going to cost you. A rough idea. So that's one thing that we can do.
But I mean, as you mentioned before, it has affected demand, this currency.
Well, yeah, before this I was talking about the phone starting to ring above 146. For a long time they didn't ring at all, but towards the end of last week, we've had some significant dollar sales from people who would, two people who would normally only buy in sterling. This is to make sure that they've got product availability. We're coming into now, we're in July, and cashews, for instance, you've got maybe another 6 weeks or so to make sure your Christmas demand is covered. So there we go. Of course, some of these people they know there will be demand because the price on the shelf was fixed way back in possibly last December. So they will have to buy product or renegotiate or whatever it is. But it's a tough game for those guys.
Yeah.
So demand, it's interesting because there are some products like Brazil nuts and currency, which are let's say dominated by UK demand. You can imagine those prices going down in dollars because of the lack of demand. That's possible. Others like cashews and almonds especially are not, Britain's not a big consumer and not a relatively insignificant player in this game. Almonds may be a trifle weak at the moment. Cashews looking very strong actually as African material starts arriving in Vietnam and proves to be poor quality in terms of perhaps being kept too long outside a warehouse in a big heap,
Right.
And producing a poor yield. In other words, lots more brokens, smaller nuts, lots more defects, and therefore the relationship between the raw price and the kernel price, if you maintain the quality, increasing loss for the processors. They put their prices up. Americans need to buy, that's very clear with the cashew, and they keep bidding higher and higher. This will go on till the demand for this calendar year is completed, and we still have a long way to go for that.
Right, yes, of course, yeah.
So Britain's demand is muted, and that has more effect on the British dominated demand. But otherwise, the world continues as it might. You've got some interesting stuff on hazels now,
Yes,
which has
so
kind of reached a sort of big brother scenario.
Yeah, so there's once again another commodity dominated by internal politics. So Turkey is the largest producer of hazelnuts in the world. 70% of the world's hazelnuts come from Turkey. So the price is governed by what is going on in Turkey. Earlier in the year, the Export Union, which has been correct in its estimates for 5 of the last 6 years, predicted a crop of around 600,000 tonnes. A large crop's around 700,000 tonnes, with an estimate this year of carryover being about 150,000 tonnes. So we're looking at a total 750,000 tonnes based on the figures from the Export Union. So that was a decent sized crop. So we'd expect kind of low to mid-low pricing.
And quite a good track record in terms of guessing the crop.
Yes,
the
exactly.
Union.
So that the Exporters Union is a pretty stable figure to go on. Then this last week, the Turkish Ministry of Agriculture, came out with a figure closer to 450,000 tonnes.
That's a game changer.
Difference. Yes, that's a very small crop, and of course that farmers immediately withdrew from the market and pushed their pricing up by 2 lira for kernels per kilo. So really, this figure doesn't seem to be correct based on the Exporters Union, and it seems to be more of a kind of an intervention in the market by the Turkish government. They can't buy the material straight from the farmers, so they'll intervene in the best way that they can, which is pushing the market price up by stating the figures are lower than they may actually be. Of course, the other interesting fact is that they've come out and said that the Exporters Union is no longer allowed to publish figures for this year. So this is it. This is the truth, and you have to accept it. And there's no other information to counter this.
The one and only truth. I think there was a major Turkish newspaper that was closed very rapidly about 3 months as well.
Yes.
So information is king and subservient apparently to political leaders. Well, let's see how far that gets us. talking about uncertainty, have we got any further with the chlorpyrifos?
Chlorpyrifos. Yes and no. Yes, several countries have kind of come out and said that they will not test for any product until after 10th, but that test will be 0.2 parts per million, and that will be through to, some countries will continue to test at 2 parts per million through to 2019. Other countries like Germany have said no, the facts are that this is dangerous to have in your food, and 10th of August 0.05 for dried fruit will be the limit, and anything tested after that and showing not more than 0.05 will be removed from the shelves. That is still the EU legislation. No legislation has changed, but each country is taking a vastly different approach to how to implement this and how to intervene.
It's rather bizarre. We have a similar thing in golf where you might have local rules.
Yes.
You've got the rule book, but it doesn't work on this course for some reason. But those are usually minor things, like when you can adjust the lie on your ball because it's turned into a bog or something like this. This is really quite bizarre. I find it very strange, where the Germans, as you'd expect, are saying, well, these are the rules, this is what we agreed.
Yeah.
And everybody's saying, yeah, but we didn't really mean it. We didn't
really think about
this other stuff.
of what we'd actually agreed to. Yes.
And there seems to be an almost like, all right, well, we're all just going to look the other way and sort our own stuff out. Bizarre. Because, of course, this issue does affect contractual liability, whether people have to deliver stuff, whether people have to take stuff in the face of possibly getting, effectively you lose your business. And behind here, really quite a, if this comes out the wrong way, it could be very bad.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, there we are, sort of complete uncertainty, and all we can do is just describe it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.